Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Caffeinated Contractor. I am your host, Chris. Today, we're going to talk about how to work with a remote executive assistant. And I'm joined today with my special guest who has been working with me for several years now, has become a friend, much like a younger sister sometimes. But she's very close to my family. And so she's joining me today because she is my executive assistant. And I'd like to welcome Isamar today. Isamar, how are you?
Great. Thank you so much for the intro, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Doing great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm fantastic. It's fun to do this with you. Um, so what I want to do today's show is really going to be about how can you have an executive assistant virtually, especially someone who lives in a different country. A lot of people were afraid of it. Initially, before I started hiring people remotely, I was like, "Oh gosh, am I doing the right thing here? What's going to happen?" So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Plus, a lot of people think an executive assistant has to be someone who sits in an office or is local or whatever, and that's not necessarily the case because you and I have been proven that over the last 4 years or whatever we've been
Yes.
working together. So it works, and we're going to talk about that today. But before we get too deep into the ins and outs of remote EAs, tell us a little bit about Isamar, your background. How'd you get into remote work, and how'd you get to joining our team?
Yes. I was working at a financial institution here in Mexico,
Hmm.
in Aguascalientes, Mexico. And the financial institution work hours, it was really something that I was not loving. I
Hmm.
enjoyed the job. It was the first time I was working at a call center.
Yeah.
But the hours were pretty much almost 12 hours of my day. So I would get in at 10 or 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. was my um, off hours. And
Hmm.
it was really heavy for me on the mom side
Yeah.
because I would have to drop my daughter at 9 a.m. at school. I wouldn't pick her up. I would miss events
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
many things that were limited because I was in an office answering phone
Hmm.
calls like the
Yeah.
entire day.
Right.
And it would take the majority of my time away from
Hmm.
spending valuable milestones for my daughter.
Yeah.
So I lasted there about a year
Hmm.
and I decided it was something that I wanted to move out of. So
Yeah.
um, I heard a lot of my coworkers were looking into remote work. I was really skeptical, scared, and I
Hmm.
was unsure of what I was getting into. But I contacted a friend and I was like, I really need to move out of
Yeah.
this cycle. It's really heavy for me, for my daughter. My daughter used to call me grandma because she was spending her time with grandma all day.
Oh wow.
So sometimes she would like even hold her hand on her mouth and was looking at me like because she felt that she had messed up, right? So
Um.
she decided um like to call me grandma once
Hmm.
and gave me a big stare. I felt it and I was like, no,
Yeah.
this is just a breaking point for me. So
Yeah.
I talked to this friend and he's like, yeah, let me give you the contact. And it was actually Daniela, who works
Okay.
for Steve Rosenberg. So
Yeah. Hmm.
um, I contacted her, I explained her the situation, and she's like, yeah, let me try to help you. I found a job as a maintenance coordinator. I enjoyed it. It was something new for the
Hmm.
property management area. I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
Um, I learned that role, and then I decided to part ways for certain reasons, medical reasons.
Sure.
And that's when I contacted Daniela again, like after a few months, and that's when I
Hmm.
met you. And that's how my journey started as a
Hmm.
VA.
Yeah.
And since then, I've been working remotely and I've enjoyed it. And it gives me a lot of flexibility on my end
Hmm.
to be able to do many things with my kids now
Yeah.
that they're three,
Yeah.
and also be able to provide the service. to you in this case,
Yeah.
working as your executive assistant. So it's really been a great choice, I feel, moving to remote work.
Yeah. It's everyone on our team, they're all stay-at-home moms. And what is unique, I was telling somebody this morning at the BNI meeting, is that the wives on our team, they quit their jobs to support their husbands, and they have this experience in the workforce. They have skills, and but they became moms, and they stayed at home to take care of the kids and whatnot. But they still want to work. They still have these, like, hey, I want everyone to use these skills, and the remote work really works for them because I mean, I feel like I'm pretty flexible. I allow everyone to, you go be a mom, and
Hmm.
when you gotta got to take care of the kids, go take care of the kids. But when you come back, these are the things that need to get done. And for them, it's been working for 5 years now, right?
Yes, 5 years.
So it works well because it allows everyone to be a mom or whatever they need to do at home, take care of a loved one, while still be able to work and be home. So I think it works out well for everybody. Um, Yeah, so you've been with us for 5 years. You started off on the property management side when we had a property management
Yes.
company, and then you came in just to answer phones initially,
Yes.
um, and then we moved you up to was it assistant office manager, right, with
Yes.
Linda, and
Yes.
then once I started getting busier, and then my first EA left to focus on school, I kind of stole you away and said, "Hey, I'm taking this somewhere. She's mine now."
Yes,
Yeah, so
that
that's
was the
been
case.
probably what, 2.5, 3 years now, right?
3 years,
Three
this
years
May. Hmm.
as my EA for 3 years.
As your EA, three
Oh my
years.
gosh, I went by quick. And you've had 2 kids since then.
Yes.
So a lot has happened in 3 years. Wow, that's
Yes,
amazing.
a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, my backstory for the audience. The reason why I decided to hire an EA specifically remotely is, one, we're a small business, so it's not like we have a lot of money. We can pay U.S. wages, and for what I explain to people is that when we hire remotely, we're hiring people with a salary that is equivalent to the cost of living in the area. And
Yes.
so a lot of areas of the country, the world, there it's different. You could probably get people in the Philippines that are maybe $4 or $5, and that's a good wage for them. But it's certainly a lot less than what we're paying in the U.S. And there is a lot of fantastic talent, and I can say that because I have a team full of talented people who are living in Mexico right now and are running the company. So I decided, like, well, why don't I do an EA, in Mexico, and it worked out really well. A lot of people think that you cannot do that because well, they can't pick up the mail, they can't do this and that, whatever. I'm like, okay, well, those are things I could do. I mean, I hate doing it, but the biggest things for me, and we'll get into this later, is the calendar, the email, the phones, administrative tasks. Those are things that really drain my energy, and that could be done anywhere in the world. And so
Yes.
it's been working out well for us, and I've got no desire to change that, because one, it works, and two, you and I've developed such a tight chemistry that you can't it's not easy to develop. You know what I mean? You got to get along with the
Yes.
person. You have to work along with them. You got to be able to read each other. It's just like it's a tight relationship. So, it just works, and we've proved that. You know, we actually had another. Um, what is she? She's like an EA coach, executive assistant coach type
Yes.
thing, and she was telling us, she goes, "Wow, I've never seen a remote EA
Yeah.
situation work out before, and we've been doing it for a while. So that's pretty cool." All right, so let's talk about let's see here, the EA roles. So the number one role for the EA is being a gatekeeper. Um, and so, can you describe or kind of explain a little bit what that means to you and how you apply that in your role?
For me, what I've seen throughout this 3 years that I've been working as your EA,
Hmm.
being the gatekeeper, it's kind of protecting you from yourself in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
there are multiple things that when I started, I
Hmm.
was like, I don't know what to do. And
Hmm.
you would guide me through those processes.
Hmm.
But as I started developing um, the skill of observing you and noticing trends um,
Hmm.
throughout these years, I've noticed that sometimes even you call it out, like saying, I'm sorry, I'm not going to mess with your calendar anymore because I'm
Yeah.
saying yes to all of these appointments, to all these
Hmm.
meetings,
Hmm.
and I'm not involving you. So that's the thing that I don't remind you often now about it because it has been changing. But in
Hmm.
the past months or years, I used to tell you like, don't forget to ask me or to send
Yeah.
the person to me so that I can
Hmm.
schedule.
Yeah.
Because we could have a full week full of appointments, meetings, and there was not enough time for either family time or administrative
Right.
things that really needed your attention.
Hmm.
So that's what gatekeeper for
Yeah.
me kind of resonates to.
Yeah.
Um, but as I said, it has changed. It has helped a lot that I feel that it has helped a lot that I have been telling you, like, and reminding
Yeah.
you,
Right.
send people to me, like, or letting you know, like the other day that we were talking about this person that does not respond to my emails, even though I send them like the information or, hey, we're
Yeah.
gonna book this appointment. What's your availability? And you're like,
Hmm.
okay, I'll let them know. And
Yeah.
that really helps me complete that part of my job,
Yeah.
and help you organize your meetings and not have to worry about double booking or
Yeah.
making arrangements that we miss,
Yeah. There's been times, not too long ago, it's been maybe a couple months where I can't remember what it was, but I started digging into my calendar, and I don't know if it was because you took a couple days off, or I just was like, I could do this. I can't remember what the reasoning behind it was. Anyway, I ended up like triple booking myself, and I don't know how the hell that happens. So it got to a point like, okay, I got better over the years. Right? Remember, I used to throw stuff in there all the time, and we were all around all the time, and yeah,
Yes.
you were probably rolling your eyes, but as time goes on, you've got the courage now to say, hey, stop doing my job, right?
Yes.
Um, but I'm sure back then it was a bit frustrating. But I've gotten to a point now where I'm like, hey, Isamar's in charge of the calendar. I'm not allowed to touch it anymore. So this is her thing. And so every now and then something still pops up, like a conversation I have, like, just before we started the podcast, something popped up on my calendar for tomorrow afternoon. You're like, what was that all about?
Yes.
you know? So I had to explain and like, okay, this is what happened. And, we had a conversation, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it'll work out. But anyway, so yeah, the gatekeeper really is just protecting time and energy. As entrepreneurs, we need to protect ourselves from ourselves, or have someone do
Yes.
it for us, because we think we can do everything. And I still feel that way, which is why I still work so late in the night sometimes. But um, anyway, that's a problem that we have. And we need the EA to be that person to say, hey, um, don't touch your calendar. Don't read your email. I got it. Hey, stop working. It's family time. Things like
Yes.
that, right? We need that little whisper in our ear to tell us, hey, knock it off and go do this instead, right?
Yes, it's difficult because it's your business and you're thinking of it like I would think of it as my baby, as my kid,
Right.
right? You're
Mm-hmm.
protecting your business and you
Yeah.
feel as a business owner that no one else is going to do it better than you and you do it
Mm-hmm.
yourself. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're overwhelmed with so many tasks that you're
Mm-hmm.
taking on um, because you feel no one else will do it
Yeah.
the way that you do it. So that's the important part is start easing out of that mentality
Mm-hmm.
um, and find the tasks that would someone else would be able to do for you and you don't have to
Right.
worry about it later on and it doesn't has to be like a full 100 tasks right
Yeah.
now but you can
Hmm.
start doing it one by one, and
Yeah.
it'll get better, and it will ease your um so you don't have to worry about business
Hmm.
things during family time, and you can
Sure.
take days off, and you have a lot more flexibility with your time.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've been good at, there'll be something that I'm doing and you're like, hey, you're doing my job. Or you'll
Yes.
say, hey, who's the assistant here, me or you? Right. So
Yes.
you give me those friendly, little comical reminders that I'm doing something I should not be doing and that's more in line with your job and not mine. So anyway, yeah, it's been working, but it takes time though, right? It took time for
It
us to really
does.
develop that chemistry. It took time for you to really feel um, like you can trust me enough for you to push back sometimes.
Yes.
Um, and then also you mentioned this. I can't remember where we were um, or who we were talking to. It was just the other day, but it was with Joe, or no, it was we were doing the interviews.
Yes.
And you mentioned that you can recognize when I'm getting a little unhappy about something, so you recognize that and you're like, okay, I've got these things I need to bring up to him, but I think I'll wait a bit because now's not the best time, right?
Yes.
So you're even from such a far distance, you're able to read that, and that's a great quality for an EA to have, but it does take time to build that muscle, right?
It does. Yes.
Let's talk about what does it look like working. Let's just talk about like what are the weekly things that we do, and then we'll go into like some of the daily stuff. So, what are the weekly things that we do as a team to just make sure that everything's organized?
Yes. So, every week we have a meeting Mondays and
Hmm.
Fridays. It can be any time of the day. I always say I'm flexible. If we need to move it around, we're good,
Hmm.
but it happens every Monday and every Friday.
Yep.
Um, and with that, what I do in the mornings on Mondays, I go ahead and check the calendar again, check email, any tasks, any urgent things. I note it down. I have a notebook,
Hmm.
and that's where I usually notate like the urgent things that we need to discuss, and that helps us deconflict the calendar,
Hmm.
respond to emails that we had pending from probably last week or that came in during the weekend that it need an urgent response.
Hmm.
We tackle those things, and it helps us keep everything in track. And if we miss something, that's when we discuss it, and we find the areas where we can improve, just by talking and discussing those items that came in over the weekend or that we missed from last week. And then on Friday, we do the same process. Um, Anything that happened during the week, we also discuss, to ensure that we're doing everything, or if we need to change something.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really, I think our process, we cover email first,
Hmm.
then we hit the calendar, and then we talk about open loops,
Yes.
anything that's been kind of put on the task list but isn't that urgent, that we just need to kind of pay attention to, and eventually we'll get to it. um, and then if we're working on a project together, like right now we're helping another business owner find his EA, so you and I are helping him get that. So we'll take time and discuss that and come up with a game plan. So yeah, that's what we do. We do that twice a week. We don't have any other weekly type stuff, I don't think, you and I. But what does a typical day look like for you?
For me, I really enjoy coming in the morning
Hmm.
and organizing everything and prioritizing. During the day, things come up. During the day, sometimes you may tell me, "Oh, there's this video coming
Mm.
on through email. Can you file it or create a folder?"
Okay, cool. All right, so covered what happens on a weekly basis. What does it look like for you on a typical day?
Yeah, so on the daily, I enjoy coming in the morning and addressing, like organizing the tasks that I have. I check
Hmm.
email, I check the phone for any text messages that may have come in, any voicemails. I also go in and check the calendar to ensure that the agenda is accurate.
Mhm.
And then I organize the tasks that I have there. So I handle more tasks than just the EA side. So I also get those and I organize them and mark them by priority. So if, as I was saying, like if an email comes in with a video, for example, and you tell me like there's a video coming in, can you file it away or send it to someone? If it's something that at the moment I'm doing that's higher priority than that, I keep doing what I'm doing the higher priority and then move the other to the other task that you requested. Sometimes I tell you like or you ask me, "Hey, Isamar, did you do this?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm getting to it. I'm just doing this other task that's a higher priority for the
Yeah.
moment, but I'll
Mhm.
get to it." And I usually leave admin tasks that are like organizing documents or creating a folder. Unless you tell me it's urgent, I do it right away. But if not, then I leave it to the end of the day.
Mhm.
Um, and that's kind of like the continuous process that I do. We get email like a bunch of emails every hour, so I have to keep checking email constantly while I'm doing other tasks, responding the
Mhm.
phones while I'm also doing tasks. So I
Mhm.
have to be back and forth. But if I organize my task, I organize the emails that I have to respond or that you have to respond by priority. It helps me a lot to get through that
Mhm.
quickly, and it makes the day easier for me. So that's
Yeah.
what a typical day between diaper changes and feeds with my kids. So
There's a lot of juggling there. Only a
yes,
mom could do it, though.
yes.
Yeah. So, you and I talk all day long, from the time you say good morning at 9 o'clock in the morning to even sometimes after hours, we still,
Yes.
interact sometimes, even though I try to leave you alone. But, and I tell you, I say, hey, I'm sending this message, but save it for tomorrow, but you respond
Hmm.
to it anyway. But that's a big thing is the communication is that we're constantly talking to each other. I think that's one thing where people fail in the remote world is the lack of communication. They just say, "Hey, do this," and they don't talk. So you and I talk all day long. Let's talk about some of our ways of communicating. Throughout the day, weekly, organizing stuff, and what's worked and what has not. So, what do you have to say for that?
Well, I think, as you said, it is a difficult part, especially remotely. There's like the EA is not behind you all the time, like asking you or nudging at your
Hmm.
back, like, hey, respond to this. Or
Yeah.
so it's really crucial for the CEO and the EA to work together and find a way that works with communicating. We
Yeah.
tried multiple things at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Hmm.
They were like, let's see, like, try this note taking system. Let's see
Hmm.
if it works. It didn't work. We
Hmm.
tried this other software and we were like, it doesn't work as a Mar. Like, I like this. This is my preference. You enjoy using a notebook and a pen,
Yeah.
and that's how you enjoy taking your notes.
Yeah.
Um, I am the same way. I have notebooks and
Hmm.
notebooks, and
Hmm.
then like
Yep.
after I'm done with them, I go and get them burned, just because of the information that I write there.
Yeah.
But that's not efficient because we're remote, right?
Yeah.
So we
Right.
had to figure out a way that I could read the notes that you were writing,
Yeah.
because there were some action items there that I would need to find and dig out of the notes,
Hmm.
um, so that I can schedule or do any tasks that I could do for you and remind you of
Hmm.
those tasks that you needed to do. And that was one thing that we were trying to figure out until we found Evernote, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I think as an EA, it's really important that we find out where our CEO is
Hmm.
at or what they're doing. I know sometimes I sent you like the little ghost emoji in
Yeah.
WhatsApp
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
like, you're ghosting me. You're not messaging me. You're not saying anything. You're really quiet. And I think that's important that as an EA, we're noticing those things.
Mhm.
so that we can figure out what's happening. Because I have your calendar and it says you're supposed to be somewhere at this time
Mhm.
and you have to leave around certain hour. And if you haven't
Yeah.
messaged me, hey, Isamar, I'm on my way to the office, then something's happening and I need to figure out what's going on. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
if there's another appointment, maybe in between those, and you haven't said anything, then I need to figure out what's going to happen so that I can adjust and inform the other
Right.
person, right?
Exactly.
So I think observing those things, and as I said to you the other day with the interviewer, I believe,
Uh-huh.
you have to be very observant of what
Mhm.
you're
Mhm.
doing, and that's
Yeah.
going to help us gain more figure out more trends of what you're doing. Like
Yeah.
if he ghosts me, probably it's because he's still at that meeting. Or
Yeah.
if he's not responding, maybe he's upset. There's something going on. It could
Mhm.
be business wise or family. Something's
Mhm.
happening. So we have to be communicating constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I've done okay, but I know there's areas of improvement for sure. There's a lot of times, and I'm used to when I was a police officer, we always had to tell the dispatcher where we're going, and that's how I liken to what we do. It's like, hey, I'm going over here. I'm going to this appointment. I head to the office. Hey, I got a few minutes. I'm heading out. Going to grab some food, whatever it
Hmm.
might be. I'm constantly, ideally, letting you know all the time what's going on, where I'm at. But there are
Yes.
times where I'm just lost in my thoughts, and because of that, I get lost in my thoughts, and just kind of really focused on whatever it is I was thinking about, or an issue, or whatever, and I just space out and I don't give you the updates. And that's typically when I get the ghost emoji. um, or sometimes you give me like two eyeballs. What is the eyeballs? What does that stand for? What does that mean? Like, hey, what's going on? Yeah, I'm
Yes.
looking for you. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
just feel it's kind of like questioning where you're at. Yeah, like I'm trying to, yeah,
Mhm.
that I just put it because that's kind of like what it feels
Yeah.
like. And with the ghost, I know like
That's
it's like
hilarious.
sometimes I see you respond at another message
Mhm.
probably, and I
Mhm.
put the little ghost like you
Yeah.
responded to that, but you didn't respond to mine, you know?
Yeah, and that's just one thing where I
And
have to be more aware of, because it does affect your job. It affects the day, and the communication piece has to be on point. And like I said, there's a lot of times, I think for the most part we do a pretty good job. And if there's any lacking, really, it's more on my end, just because I space out and I'm deep in thought on something, or I get involved in a conversation or whatever it might be, or someone might call me and you don't know I'm on the phone, or whatever it might be. That's an area okay, so
mhm.
in front of the whole audience watching this, they're watching you coach me on how to better communicate to you, so it's all good. But that's how it works, though, right? Like, we have to have these discussions where, like, hey, I need this so I can do a better job for you, you know and we do have those conversations a lot.
Yeah, we have to open up about it and sometimes be a little vulnerable. You don't have to like go all the way
Yeah, right.
personal, but like sometimes I do like um ask questions that
Hmm.
how did you get to sleep enough, you know?
Yeah.
Like to figure out if there's
Yeah.
some times where you're not
Hmm. Hmm.
focused or you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing because we already have this agenda scheduled and you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Really.
Let's move that task to some other day. So things like that help us figure out like
Hmm.
as I said, I think this is going to be like a trends video, but
Hmm.
it really helps us view like if you didn't get enough sleep last night for whatever reason,
Yeah.
the next day, how's it going to be? You already kind of like thinking about that. And maybe you find tasks that are not as important for that
Yeah.
specific day that you
Right.
scheduled them, and you can move them around. And I've told you sometimes like, hey, I'm moving this task just because it's not as urgent and I see that you need like
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
focus on
Yeah.
something else,
Yeah. I'm not moving again.
and
You better
move
do it
those
this time.
around. But we do it like probably 3 times at maximum, and then I'm like, I'm moving it to this other
Yeah.
day, but that's it.
I was just
This
gonna
is the
say
last
one
day,
thing
the
that
last time that I'm moving it,
the other thing
and
that
you have to
you've
do
been
it.
good at, and this is along the lines of the trends and getting to know me, is that my energy levels get to a certain point. So one thing that you've been able to do after getting to know me and understanding my energy levels during certain parts of the day and throughout the week is you're able to manage the calendar better. That I can be overly ambitious on trying to get a lot done in a week, and you're like, no, we're not doing that. We need more white space for you to rest, or you need to excuse me, you need to go do go exercise, go for a walk, whatever it might be, to clear your mind and get more energy. So choking here. Excuse me.
Hmm.
So that's what
Yes.
and that goes along the lines of just time goes on, you understand the trends, getting to know each other and how we both act. But for tools, we use WhatsApp as our daily communication. Email, we don't email each other at all.
Hmm.
We used to use Evernote. That didn't really go. Then I tried to use this notability thing where I'm sending you PDFs. But like you said, I really like writing in a regular notebook. And if it's important enough or whatever, I'll take a
Yeah.
photo and I'll send it to Isamar. Phone calls, we use a Ring Central voice over IP so that it rings on my phone, but also rings on your computer. So you're able to answer the phone for me. And if I have to take the call, which is hardly ever,
Hmm.
you're able to transfer it over to me pretty quickly. Um, yeah. So let's see here.
Hmm.
Talk about energy audits. We talked about that a little bit. But as far as like, we talk about EAs, they're not just for the company, but, they also manage some of the personal stuff as well. Um, and, it can be maybe a little uncomfortable, maybe a little weird. I don't know, but like, hey, Ismar, can you, you know, book me an airline flight? It's like something I was never really
Yes.
used to someone else doing for me. But those are, you've done some things like that. So how do you feel being involved on the personal side as well?
I I think it's good. I mean, it's not that I don't
Yeah.
love it. I like helping you, and I enjoy seeing you taking vacation time off,
Hmm.
because as we said before, I've been working with you for 5 years now.
Yeah.
So it's at the beginning with the companies, it was really rare for you to go out on vacation, or have like a full weekend off without
Hmm.
responding to any email, text
Yeah.
message, or phone call.
Right.
Um, and I would always remind you, like, oh, well, I would always say, I hope that you get to a point where you're able
Hmm.
to have a vacation and not have to worry about anyone else or anything else, just you and your family. So helping you out and figure out things
Hmm.
that like are happening with your family.
Oh, that's cool.
I
Yeah.
really enjoy
Oh, I never asked you that
hearing,
before, so that's
doing,
nice.
helping on that.
Um,
So
I don't. I
doing
know I've given you
personal,
my
being like
personal
kind of like
credit
your
card
personal
before for things. I
assistant
can't
as
remember. It's
well,
been a while, but
it's really joyful for
that
me,
doesn't happen
because
often.
I see that part from
You'll
your
order stuff for
hmm
me. I haven't ordered stuff on Amazon for a while,
yeah.
but you've done that for me before. So you have pretty much access to
Hmm.
just about everything, I think. Um, and if I forget a password, you know it. So I say, hey, what's my password for this? So you're kind of like you know just about everything. So it's kind of hard to hide anything from you because you have access to all my stuff.
Yes.
And it took time. I think a lot of people are worried about that trust factor.
Yes.
Like, oh, can I really trust this person? And for us, I don't think I would give it to you on day
Hmm.
one. But as time goes on, I'm like, well, we've developed a close relationship. My family, and at this point, I've met your mom. So we kind of know each other well, more than just coworkers, and that trust develops over
Hmm.
time. So I'm comfortable giving you all that stuff, and know that you'll safeguard it as much as you can.
Yeah, and I think like with what I said before, like giving a small amount of responsibilities and tasks to your EA,
Oh, yeah.
it gradually through over time, and you're growing the responsibilities.
So, what advice would you give contractors considering hiring a remote executive assistant?
I think they should give it a go. I mean, it could be nerve-wracking, maybe. They don't know the person.
Hmm.
It's remotely,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
you should give them a chance. They can do
Hmm.
a lot of things for you. It could be beneficial for freeing your time and
Oh
focus
yeah.
on more things than just um, like the admin work for the business. They can address it.
Hmm.
Like I remember there was this time where you were asking, I need to do more on the business things, do more
Yeah.
CEO things. And with
Hmm.
that in mind, you were able to delegate a lot of things to me that you were not wanting to let
Hmm.
go of. So that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's something that as an entrepreneur you should keep in mind, um, that
Hmm.
you want to grow your business. You need more time, more free time to focus on that part. And to do that, you need someone to address the tasks that are keeping you from
Hmm.
moving forward. So an EA will help
Hmm.
you do that, and she or he will help you develop processes that will ease things out, make things faster, better, more efficient, and and it's a valuable asset because you're growing that position to maybe later on you're going to grow more remote team members, and that EA that has been with you since maybe not the beginning of your business, but a certain period of your business and helped you grow that business, that person is going to
Hmm.
find, well, for me at least, I can say that I do love elevation construction. I did learn to love Pacific Rim. So I know. So it gives me like the sense of caring for the business too, not just my
Yeah.
position, not just my role, but for the entire business because I got to know team members, I got to know you, your wife Linda, and it's something
Hmm.
that I enjoyed through time, and it helps build that connection. And with the EA, it will help you ease out of that consistent, overwhelming load of tasks. So,
Well said. That was perfect. I remember um, when I was able to not have to do emails
yes.
anymore. I mean, I still do very little,
Hmm.
right? Every now and then I'll pop in, and you notice when I do because you say, "Hey, stop
Get
checking emails.
out. Get out.
Get out of the emails." But
Yes.
at the beginning, I was that's what it was, and it was just so nice being able to come home after driving around at checking out projects, knowing that all right, someone's already checked my email. If anything important popped up, she would just let me know,
Hmm.
and it was freeing. Like my mind was like, oh, it was like relieved. And that is one of many things. That's the phone calls. When the phone rings, well, I know it's Ring Central because my phone rings a certain way. I'm like, oh, I don't have to get that. That's Isamar's got it,
Hmm.
and that's freeing myself because the phones need to be answered. I just don't want to answer them. Like that's just not something I enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't like talking to people. If all I want is a business where I talk to my team, that's it, right?
Yes.
And so anyway, it's been really cool, and you said it perfectly. It's just freeing up time, and then it's also the journey too, where the team can look and see, and because it's a baby business still,
Hmm.
and you all can look at aspects of the business and say, hey, I was a part of creating this, and it's really cool. For I would imagine just kind of looking at it through the eyes of the team members who all live in Mexico, that they have this huge influence on a company that's growing in the US.
Yes.
And I don't know, that's kind of neat. I think that's kind of neat.
It is, and we get to
So,
look back
mhm,
in time and say, "You remember
mhm,
what we were
mhm.
doing this year at this time?"
Oh yeah.
And it's
Uh,
really cool to see how far you've moved on from where you were when we just first joined to where we're
yeah.
at now, and it's really cool.
Yeah. And a lot has happened in 5 years, so which means
Yes,
in 5 years it's going to be interesting to see where we are, right?
definitely.
Well, we're at a point now where you and I are actually, because we've done so well, we're actually helping other people locate, find their executive assistant. So, you and I didn't talk about how we're going to talk about this at all, but pretty much what the process is, if if, like, for example, our current client we work with, he's just way too busy and he's like, hey, I don't know how to do this stuff. So, well, we've done pretty well hiring people, so we'll go ahead and do it. We have a hiring process, we have an interview process that we go through, we have a vetting process that we go through. We had 70 applicants for this one. We're only going to interview four because we narrowed it down. And then from those four, we given them interviews, and they were going to give them a challenge that they're going to do. And with that, and we have a scorecard that we're going to use. And with that, we're going to give a recommendation to our client. Hey, here's the scores. Here's our recommendation. Here's our notes. And let him make a decision on who he wants to go forward with. And he'll have a final interview with them more on culture and team and fitting within the team rather than skill set and ability. So that's what we've been able to do. We created that, and that's just something that Isamar and I have been able to work together on. So if you're listening to this podcast, if you're interested, you're like, hey, how do I do this? What do I want to do? Send us a message on YouTube or whatever. You go to Instagram, send us a message there. And I think the email for Caffeinated Contractor is the caffeinatedcontractor@gmail.com. Did I give you that email address, didn't
You
I?
did.
Okay, good. Okay. Yes, I forget things sometimes. So send us a message there or whatever. And if you need help, we can help you out. That's something we enjoy doing. Just matching you up, a busy entrepreneur, with talented remote team workers. It's something we've done well in over the last 5 years, and we can help you out. Any closing words, Ismar?
No, just thank you for having me at the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and also just um, wanted to say that if you're looking for an EA, go for it. Just stop thinking and act out. Get one, hire
Nice.
it, and it'll be beneficial.
Agreed. Well said. Said perfectly. All right. Well, thank you so much. 2 more weeks, another episode will come out. Interview more of my team members and some other people in the remote world. And then we're going to hit this remote stuff and then remote teamwork stuff. And then we're going to transition and talking about SEO and how do you get leads through your website. So exciting stuff coming up. Stay tuned, subscribe, share it with friends, whatever you want to do. All right. Thanks a lot.